Hello, how are you?
Excited to be here.
I know, this could actually get quite controversial today, but in a good way.
Yeah,
Things that we have to speak
I think
about.
the first time I saw you was at Lewis's workshop.
Yeah.
And you asked some very interesting questions, and I thought I need to speak to her.
Honestly, it was just because I'm curious. So without further ado, introduce yourself.
So my name is Imthiaz. I'm an online coach, and I work with men who want to avoid the comfort zone at all costs and just want to dominate across all vectors in life.
Yeah, okay, amazing.
What about yourself?
I'm Maya. I'm a female lifestyle coach, specifically in cultural differences, backgrounds, when it comes to food, when it comes to self-limiting beliefs, and also just making a lifestyle change, not just about the gym, all rounded. So how did you then, because I don't actually know your story from like the fitness as much. I think you touched on it a bit at Lewis's event, but I always like to know more. So how did you actually like get into this industry then?
So for me, I've always been someone who trained, and I'll get into, my background in a sec, but I've always had that keen interest in training, what it gives you outside of, the aesthetics and the rest of it, the discipline, etc. I do believe that it's a key factor in becoming a high performer. If you don't, put yourself in difficult situations, whether it's forced by going to the gym or it's thrust upon you, you can't develop as a human being. So I've always been of that mindset. Now, in my previous life,
I love this story so much, I'm sorry.
So I was heavily involved in drugs, got caught and sent to jail as a part of a conspiracy, 2018. The 3.5 years behind the door. Whilst I was in there, I thought, this can't run, It's not a sustainable way of living, and decided to turn my life around in there. So education was massive, really got my head down, and here we are.
Yeah, amazing. I love your story though, like even hearing it from the beginning, because you're the first person I've met who would be so open talking about it and not like going, I'm hiding away from a certain thing. This is my truth and everything. So why did you actually like pick men? Because I know you focus on like alpha traits in men. Do you feel like it was because of your experiences in jail, or do you feel like it was just always embedded into you?
I think with men, I connect better. If I was to coach, my coaching style is very direct. Yeah. I don't pull my punches, no BS approach. And with a female, I believe if I was to speak to a female like that, I am generalizing here, they wouldn't take too well to it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is what the fitness industry is missing nowadays. People are getting wrapped in cotton wool, even men, even more so now, to the point where it's like men are suffering because of their lack of accountability to themselves. They can't do, or they aren't doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I work with men, because I do feel like it's a shame. I do feel like they are part of the problem in terms of society and how it's functioning or dysfunctioning at the moment. And I want to do my part in rectifying that as best as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've sort of like hit the nail on the head there with the women side of things, like coaching women with that mentality. You know what's funny though? I feel like I've actually coached a lot of women who go for that personality because they want to be disciplined, told what to do, maybe shouted at potentially. But I suppose it's a thin line between, okay, what are you willing to do for so long? And then they have to find someone who actually maybe understands them a little bit more in certain areas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have coached a few women in the past. I've got one woman on my books, and I don't advertise coaching women. And the reason she come to me was she needed that authority figure in her life that was going to tell her exactly what to fucking do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I feel like with the majority of women, if I was to coach them, it'd be combative, and we wouldn't get anywhere. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's from my experience.
Well, me personally, I could never coach men. I've tried.
Why is that?
I feel like I don't put a sense of authority in a man when it comes to, because at the end of the day, when it comes to training and stuff, once you know your basics and once you know, like, you don't need to be some super techie mechanical wizard to write a good program, right? That's that base covered. But I think I find it hard, like you said, to connect to certain things. Like for me, in my clientele, there is an openness. Like the first thing I say when I sign someone up is, listen, can you be open? Because it's going to help me understand you and your situation a little bit better. If there's don't have to tell me everything, I'm not a therapist. But if there's things that you feel like you're masking, like let's say relationship with food, we're going to repeat the same cycle until you tell me about it, but we can deal with it at the root. I don't believe men would be as open to doing that with me. So I made the decision in my PT days, like I used to coach a couple men, I was like, no, I can't do this no more. Like we're not really gelling and I can't really connect to the point where I can get you a result properly because I feel like there's a divide. And plus, I'd be cautious to why someone would want me to coach them.
Yeah, I mean,
I
think there's a certain sort, like even when I coach certain guys, we don't always gel. We don't always gel. And, in the past, men have come through my doors where, I don't want to use anything derogatory, but.
Say what you want, go on.
The thing, I'm trying to, they do come in with a victim mindset.
Yeah.
And I can't fuck with it if you've got a victim mindset. Something has to be within you. A desire has to be within you for me to coach you. I'm not Mr. Motivator. I do come across like that sometimes. But my job is to guide someone who's got the desire to change but doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
That doesn't know the mechanism or the way to get there. That's who I need to coach. If I've got to get you motivated and there's no desire within yourself, fuck off. With all due respect. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your time. Go to somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. And I've let people go in the past because of that. Because they'll say one thing, there's no integrity there. And for me, integrity is doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Don't chat shit. You get people on a call and they're like, yeah, man, I want this, da-da-da-da. And then they fall to fucking bits a few weeks in. And you remind them and you do all that, remember what you said.
Check in, please. Can you check in?
You're a grown ass, man. It's your process.
Well, do you feel like then, if you look at your client base, do you feel like a lot of them have had turning points in their life that have maybe made them that way before they've came to you? Because I think that would make a lot of sense. Like the reason that you think the way you think is experience. And I believe that someone can't think a certain way until the experience is there. Like I used to be very airy-fairy on myself. Like, oh, well, I'm tired. And I can't be like that anymore because I've learned that action doesn't get me to where I want to get to. But I think there has to be an element of challenge that your clients maybe have faced before.
1,000,000%. And now you've said that, these are fresh thoughts. My best clients have overcome adversity, whether it's in childhood, like they don't know their dad, or, they've been doing the wrong things and got caught out. There has been that element of pain. And very few people change behavior through inspiration. Yeah. The majority of men, I can only speak for men, change behavior through calamity, whether they've gone through a breakup, a divorce, they've been to jail, they've, whatever it might be. There has to be an element of pain. Put it this way, like when guys have an illness or whatever, they need to go to the doctor, they put it off to the point where it's that fucking bad that they've got no other choice but to. Yeah. That's how men are programmed. Yeah. So I'll have conversations sometimes with guys who are thinking about working myself and they're, tire kicking essentially. I'm like, listen, go get a little bit fatter and I'll chat to you in a few months. Do what you're doing. Go fuck up some more. Because that's what I had to do. Yeah. I had to completely fuck up my life. Within, a split second, my will got turned upside down. I left home on a Friday. I didn't come home for 3.5 years. That's how it went down for me. So everyone has to have that turning point. Yeah. And the level of pain a man has to go through to change, everybody's different. Yeah. But I think guys who have come up from the bottom, like I work with a lot of business owners who've done really well, 7 and 8 figure businesses. They've had this, I'm going to prove you wrong mentality. You fucking watch. Yeah. Don't count me out. Yeah. And that's where I operate from. People say don't compare and you shouldn't compare yourself to the next person. I do compare. I don't get down on myself about it. I think, okay, if he can do that, he's human. If I cut him, he bleeds just like me. I can do the same. Yeah. So that's where I operate from and that's where my best clients operate from. Like I've got guys who, CEOs of massive businesses, like I said, and they've come from ends, like, do you know what I mean? London, Birmingham, whatever it may be.
Because they're hungry as well, though.
Yeah, that hunger has to be there and you can't teach that. Yeah. You cannot teach that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, what you said there as well, they'll push it back. And I think that's a common trait and it's a complete comparison with women because I think when men push it back, they're avoiding the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes what women can do is they can find the issue and then hold on to that issue and then use it for every single circumstance. Like, I can't do this because this, I can't do that because of that. And the truth is, for some circumstances, it is going to make it harder. Like, you know, when we're talking about fat loss, women and men do not lose weight the same. And we know that, right? But the protocols are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But if you've got something like a health issue or a self-limiting belief, or someone's told you some effed up shit from your childhood, and you've used that as like, well, I can't do that because I'm a failure, you're going to stay there. But just men don't talk about it as much, or they'll push that idea back until it comes straight into the forefront and then they can't avoid it anymore.
Exactly. And good point about women, because they do attach their identity to whatever it may be, ADHD or whatever it fucking is, whatever's in fashion at the moment, okay?
Yeah.
And that limits them, and it's okay. They use that as a way of feeling okay with the reason why they're lacking in a certain department, and it's fine. And it's that story, and it comes from a place of selfishness, I believe. They think they're special. I won't lose weight because of X. I can't do this because of X. You're not that fucking special. Human biology has not changed in fucking God knows how long. You're not special. You know? So do you want to be right about your situation, or do you want to get in shape?
Yeah.
Which one's it going to be? What's more important right now?
Yeah. And I think that's it, isn't it? They're only just going to you'll repeat the same cycle over and over again. And that's just a whole, throughout the two genders that we have, that's just the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, we will repeat, we will make the same mistakes. And I think our job as coaches really is to go, that's not what you said in the call. That's not what you said when you started. So like, I think one thing I wanted to ask you though, is there is this big rise in, let's say, influencers now who are putting forward toxic masculinity. Either they are standing as that, Reflection will say it, you know, Andrew Tate and all them, right? And then there's people who are using it as a topic to go against it and sort of going for a more beta approach.
Yeah.
Do you think this toxic masculinity is a thing then?
Well, how do you define toxic masculinity? How do you define that for yourself?
Is such a hard question.
Because women say this shit, but they can't put the finger. What is it?
I suppose from what I can perceive, what I think toxic masculinity is using things like misogyny and everything else to push your narratives on every single thing that you look at. Does that make sense? So like how you treat women, or, you know, how you think other men should be by avoiding mental health conversations, or do this, do that, and not really actually getting to the root cause of someone's problem. That's what I've seen the common trend with. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
However, for some people, like we know Andrew Tate and all that, like he's a very controversial. He says one thing that I agree with, and then he says one thing and I'm like, what are you on about? But he's actually getting all those men who feel disempowered and trying to empower them. But the question is it in the right way? Is it in the right way for that actual individual? Do you get what I'm saying?
What is the right way? Because I agree with the majority of stuff that Andrew Tate says. Don't get me wrong, he's a marketing genius. You got to remember that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay? So he's in the money-making game. Do you get me? So he's going to say some shit that's going to ruffle a few feathers because, as you know, we're in the attention economy. That shit, that's what runs now. Yeah. That's how it goes, okay? And don't be fooled. He knows that, okay? So you've got to take that with a pinch of salt. The underlying message is bang on, though. I can't pick fault in anything he says because, like, obviously, you're Catholic, right?
I actually don't identify with any religion anymore. I grew up Catholic, but I believe that if you're going to be religious, you need to live by a religion, and I don't live by a religion. So.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what he's saying, it is from religion, it is from traditionalism, it is from, you know, old school thought processes and mentalities and morals, okay? And that is what is lacking in this part of the world. You go to other parts of the world, yeah, the piss poor, they ain't got a pot to piss in, I haven't got a window to throw it out of, but it functions, society functions. We're sitting here all talking about depression and whatever other issue we're on about. It's a luxury. Having depression, having anxiety is a fucking luxury. You know what I mean? My family's from Pakistan. My mum's side of the family, they're from a place called Jillam. Dirt poor, nasty, horrible, okay? No one's depressed. No one's depressed.
Can't be. Survival mode. They've got to be that way. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's got a role. Everyone's got a purpose, and people lack purpose. Whether it's women, whether it's men. And this whole idea that, well, it's not an idea, it's actually what's happening, where men and women are competing for the same shit. That's where the conflict rises. That's where the conflict is. Because, I'm looking at you and I'm like, why the fuck's you going on like I thought? Then you're looking at me and if I'm a bit of a softie, why don't you just man the fuck up? It's confusing. The women are becoming more masculine, the men are becoming more feminine, and that's where the divide is, because everyone's stuck to their gender roles and behaved in that manner. We would not have as many problems as we currently have.
Yeah. You see, I think the thing is this toxic masculinity thing. When I look at it, I'm like, okay.
What is toxic masculinity? That's what I'm saying to you.
But anything can be toxic if there's too much of it, right? That's the idea. Too much of anything is not good for you, right? You eat too many bananas, you get potassium overload, you can die, right? But bananas are healthy. So I think what's happening is when someone doesn't have any human connection, when someone's getting rejected by women and you're telling them to act this certain way, like be a man, do this. Let's be honest, a lot of masculinity comes down to financials, for one, what they can provide, how they look, strength, height. So what do we say to the kids who's never had a girlfriend, can't talk to girls, and he comes online and sees this derogatory approach towards women and life? He hasn't even experienced it to have that viewpoint yet.
I get what you're saying.
If someone has come online and been like, this is what you need to do to be a man, how can you even say that to someone who isn't even in that space to do so, to practice it, to try it? You can have a mentor, but the reason I think it's seen as toxic is because it's creating incels. It's creating these kids or young teenagers at home hating women or using the system as a reason to hate everything.
I get what you're saying.
And that's where the anger's coming from.
That's a dangerous place to be, but that isn't masculine. That is not masculine. Well, being masculine, as well as being able to protect and provide, is also caring for women. That's masculine. That is some bitch shit. If you're in your room playing fucking Fortnite and just hating on women and just, I don't know what the fuck they do. If you're on that vibe, what the fuck is masculine about that? Get out there, make money, get in better shape, sort your life out, level up in your career. That's masculine. Being masculine is about forward progression.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's not about hate or anything like that. It's about loving women, protecting women, seeing them as the fairer sex. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So it's the equivalent of saying, there's a kid who listens to a gangster rapper and he jokes someone up. It's the same shit.
Well, on that point, if being masculine is taking care of women, but women aren't being taken care of, can you blame them for being more masculine? Because this is what's happening. I think the thing that's happened now is that women are starting to wake up to some of the things that happened years ago and still now, and saying, do I really need that? There is women now climbing the financial ladder very, very quickly. They are more successful. They are more independent. So why would I need that negativity? We can talk about all the things that have happened over the years. You'll know when you come from certain cultural backgrounds, you'll know that sometimes it's common to see things like domestic abuse in certain spaces, especially when you look at older generations.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're sitting there and saying, well, he's not trying to, they're not helping financially, they're not taking care of the children that you have if you do have children, they're making your life a living hell, that will create a masculine woman. And
it will, for sure.
The fault is that you can't get out of that.
So the problem's the man there. It's not the woman.
Yeah.
The problem is the man. So once again, if we had masculine men, the way I've just defined it, we wouldn't have that problem. But what's being pushed nowadays? What is being pushed? It's this softer approach. Listen, if you're out of shape, it's okay. I don't know, body positivity, all this fucking bullshit. If you're fat, bro, first of all, you're unhealthy. Your chances of a disease are high as fuck. Okay, that's one. Who's gonna want to get with that? Who really? Are you kids? Are you gonna be able to run after him? Are you gonna be able to have kids because you're that overweight? I've got family members who are obese, clinically obese, and they're married years and they can't have kids. Now, I would argue if they weren't so obese, if their lifestyle was better, maybe they would be able to, you know? They're probably around about my age, a couple years younger, you know, problem with joints, pre-diabetic. What the fuck is that about?
I think this is the thing, when you're from certain backgrounds, like we spoke about this before, obviously you grew up, you're Muslim still, right? You identify as that, right? And I grew up in a Nigerian and then also a British household. So we had that combination. And it was weird for me to notice how there was, let's say this way, in my white family, in my British family, alcoholism was very, very common. Wasn't common in that way, but they, in the African family, had the health issues and the diabetes and all these things going on. And then I was like, well, genetically, I am all of that, but I don't have these problems. So what's my differences between this and this and this? And it can be that they just know no different, but it is quite sad to know that, like, there is people putting themselves in a position, especially men as well, because I'll say it now, it's easier for men to lose weight. It's easier for men to get in shape. Genetically, you have an advantage. Do you know what I mean? But I think what's happening is, as you said, if people are pretending to be masculine, but they're not really masculine, or avoiding the things that it takes for them to feel like a man, then they're never really going to get there, are they?
Yeah, and that shouldn't be labelled as masculinity. Going back to what you said, though, about, you know, your African family and your British family, I always say, and I heard this from a guy called Dan Martell, wrote that book, Buy Back Your Time, phenomenal book. He says, you celebrate with the same thing. You celebrate with the same thing that you turn to when you're down. So, for example, food. Nigerian family, party, food.
Yeah, we're going to eat.
When you're feeling like shit, food.
Go eat.
Yeah. White family, celebrations, get pissed.
A little bit of a bev, yeah. I'm Scouse as well, so
there you go.
It's inbred into me. I don't really drink that much.
It's British culture. You have a bad day, you're going to get pissed. So be careful what you celebrate with, because you'll turn to that in bad times as well.
It's comfort.
It's comfort.
Self-soothing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. So we need to find different things that we self-soothe with, that we turn to either way. So for me, it's work. I'm feeling good, I work. I'm feeling shit, I work. Like, that's my outlet.
So what do you think more, let's say those men who are struggling to be, I'm just going to use the word alpha, like in a place of they move with integrity, what are they turning to?
The guys who struggle. So my thoughts on this has changed somewhat. Before I used to think everyone's got it in them. No, that's changed. There's winners and losers. Not everyone can be a winner. A very small percentage can be a winner. A very small percentage, by default, can be alpha. I'm looking for them who've got the desire to be that. Not everyone's got it. It's as simple as that, you know? So in regards to the guys who are feeling like they're not that way, that if you've got no desire, if you've got nothing inside of you, then you're probably where you should be. And that's a harsh reality people have got to face. You can't fucking help everyone. You can't help everyone. You'll have people who come inside your program, and I've heard Steve talk about it before. There's people who are going to win regardless, and there's people who are never going to win. And that's the harsh reality of it. Whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whether it's relationships, there's winners and there's fucking losers. And unless there's a desire, and I always go back to desire, unless there's a vision, unless there's clarity on what the fuck you want from your life, you're always going to be second best. So it's not something that's you're innately born with. It can be developed, but a lot of the time for men, it's developed through pain, suffering, a lack of something. And if you haven't had that, then you will turn to food, you will turn to alcohol, you will turn to vices, which pull you away from your true calling.
Women.
Yeah.
That is a trend, by the way. I think that's a trend.
What's that?
I have very thingy opinions about like high levels of promiscuity in any gender. Like, I just think it's weird. I've always just said, I get it. Why not? But I think it's weird. I think you're trying to mask something, or something's, if you have to constantly connect with strangers in that way, but not emotionally. Because at the end of the day, there's benefits in connecting emotionally in different ways other than sexually. So when I see people who are constantly searching for that, or can't look at anyone without over-sexualizing straight away, it's normal sometimes to look at it like, okay, and that's what you notice. But I think, you know, one of the most damaging things I think gets taught to men is this idea that you have to run around and sleep with as many women as you need to. because it's training them to think a certain way. And then when
I don't think it's trained. I think it's innately in a man to, and people are going to disagree with me on this, but this is, if you think about it logically and throughout history, that's how it's gone down. You know, the guys at the top have always had multiple women, multiple wives, or whatever you want, concubines or whatever. Okay, that's how it's gone, you know? So that is innately in man.
But isn't that more for children?
What do you mean?
Like, the whole idea was to mate, to have children. That's not what people are wanting to do. If anything, a lot of people now would rather have multiple sexual partners without the kid. Does that make sense? Going
back to what we spoke about before, the pill, the contraceptive pill. Yeah, I didn't know this. Obviously, you educated me on this.
Listen,
that women use that to regulate hormones or whatever it might be. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. But at the same time, that is a get out of jail free card. I'm gonna be a hoe, and it's cool, and that's how it's gonna go. That's how it is. You know, it's a get out of jail free card. Take the pill away, women would not be as promiscuous as what they are. I'm telling you that now.
I don't know. I don't believe that. Truly, I don't believe that. Listen, because there's still multiple children who don't know the fathers. There's still more kids. There's always kids every single year. So it's not really stopping anyone, is it? There's still more people now having children without getting married. Majority of people.
But if you've got half a brain as a woman, you're not going to put yourself in that situation.
I mean, it can just happen. Like,
it can't just happen. That does not just happen. It takes intent from both sides.
But at the end of the day, there's so many different things that you could say, well, she chose to have the kid. Let's say, for example, you're a woman who was told from a young age that you have a low egg count, and then you didn't really want a child, but you knew that as you aged progressively that you may not actually have the chance to do this again. You end up having a kid, or you end up getting pregnant, and then you're like, I can't physically in myself bring myself to actually abort that child or get rid of that child, and then you are going to be faced with the consequence of having
sex
to
not a choice?
No, completely.
So there you go. What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, it takes two to tango. I agree with you.
I'm getting it. It's a choice on both parts.
But I don't believe that just because if the pill or the contraception wasn't around, it would actually stop anyone, because there's still lust and desires.
Those problems that you spoke about in terms of, you know, kids without dads, women being promiscuous, men being promiscuous, because through default, if women are stopping being promiscuous, men are going to be in the same boat. It would get rid of a lot of those issues if you class that as an issue, you know. So that's my thing with the contraceptive pill. I didn't know that it regulates hormones and all the rest of it. But for me, if that was taken away, women would be way more selective. Okay, they wouldn't open their legs to fucking anyone. You know, they'd be smarter with the choices. And a lot more women probably be married. They'd wait for marriage.
But there is still consequences other than children to having sex with multiple people anyway, for men and women.
Yeah.
You can end up getting some nasty, and you can't get rid of the nasty. So I think truth is, if you're that type of person inclined and that's what you want to do, fair enough. What I say is it damages both parties, because down the line, when it comes to actually connecting with one person and you've been taught or told that you want to get married, have one partner, be monogamous, you've been taught that way, you're a juxtaposition. You don't match up to the things that you've been doing. So when comes the point where you're able to say, that's enough now. That's enough of sleeping with multiple people. You've conditioned your brain to think of a certain way, which is why personally, I think women definitely have to be more selective, 3000%, because at the end of the day, it's a more invasive process for us than it is for men. They can disconnect if they really want to.
For sure.
But I think the trend that is coming up now is that, well, from what I see online, is that if, you know, men are able to do this and do that and do this, and financially we don't need them, they're not actually supporting family, so I can do what I want. That's where it's come from. So I actually think there is such a thing as being toxic masculine and toxic feminine, because it's too much of the wrong thing that's not for that person.
It's a perpetuating cycle, because, like I said, the issues with the men, they're more feminine than ever. Then the women have got dough, they're doing good. They think, what do we need men for? But then there's some good men looking around thinking, what the fuck am I meant to do here? Where do I fit in? You know? And then that's when the competition comes about. But at the same time, I think you mentioned before, women are earning more than ever and climbing that ladder. But there's also way more women in their 30s without children, who want children, with a couple of dogs, very bored,
It's true.
you're probably sleeping around a little bit. That's what happens.
But then vice versa. There's
that's
also...
what I'm saying. It goes hand in hand. And men are yin and yang. That's how it goes, you know? And I believe in unity. I believe in terms of gender roles, that shit works. Yeah. It works. You can't argue with it, you know? I understand in this society, especially in the West, both parties have to work, you know, for the majority of people to have a certain sort of lifestyle. Yeah. I get that, okay? And you've got to look higher up. You've got to think, okay, who's sexualized everything? Who's allowed it to happen, should I say? Who's taxed the fuck out of the people where one income can't support a household anymore? This country's fucked. Mate, you earn money, you get taxed. You spend money, you get taxed. Someone leaves you money, you get taxed. He's getting taxed. You're getting shafted. Yeah. You know, and then that then sets up, okay, we both need to earn. Then that, you know,
changes the dynamic completely.
Yeah, massively.
I think one thing I've noticed, which I will always say, is there has been a financial expectation on men that is just not realistic anymore. Like, I'm all for seeing someone getting treated well. Like, I love seeing people treat the partners. But there's this whole idea that, like, okay, well, a man needs to buy you a freaking Birkin bag, Chanel bag. But you're looking at like 18, 19, 20-year-old lads. Unless they're doing something that they have loads of money in abundance, then they're not going to be able to provide that for you. If you want to go find that, I don't know, go to Dubai or something, you'll probably find one in the mall. Do you know what I mean? But I think that expectation for men has been very, very damaging, as much as it has been for women, because now women are thinking that, oh, he doesn't love you if he doesn't buy you all this and this and this. And that's not necessarily true. Do you know what I mean?
1,000,000%. And the same can be said in terms of women. You're meant to look a certain way. You're meant to do X, Y, Z. And, you know, that's what men are looking for. That's like the norm. And if you don't get that, you're like down the pecking order. But when you look at these girls, these women, and this is what their standards are. Mate, your dad's a bricklayer. What you on about? Do you know what I mean? Your dad, go get some hands dirty.
See, that's the thing. I think it is about family experience sometimes, and then obviously the environment and what you watch and what music you listen to.
Exactly.
So it is very like, well, if you listen to City Girls and stuff and they're talking about he's bought you a Range Rover, then you're probably going to think in your mind that you can get a Range Rover, but it's not. Because I always say, anything I require from a man, I need to be able to know that I can do that myself, right? In a way. Okay. Not everything.
What do you mean in a way?
I don't mean that I want to be a man. That's not what I'm saying. I have equal opportunity to get a job, do certain things that I want to do, carry my own and take care of myself. So if I haven't, you know, made as much money as him, that's fine, but I can make my own money and I know how to. I can stand on my own 2 feet. I would never let someone just go, oh yeah, let me just cover everything for you, because it's just not safe. I just don't think that's a safe way to live, personally. But women pretty much want to feel like they've got equal rights, I'm guessing, in certain things like the workplace, financially, whatever. We don't want to be men though. And I think the expectation now on men is, oh, okay, well, they're going to be this way, we're going to be that way. But we can't equate to that. We're not trying to equate to that. And I think that's where it's got confused. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
Because when I can't speak for everybody, when I hear equality, I think of equal in treatment, but different in responsibilities. Now, what you're speaking about, where a woman's got to earn her own money, all the rest of it, that's a responsibility. Do you understand where the confusion is? Yeah. So there needs to be some give somewhere. There needs to be some give somewhere to make it work, to make the system work. Because if both parties believe that they have equal responsibilities, then it's a bit off.
I suppose it's just come from, like we said before, though, some men aren't doing the responsibilities.
They're not.
So now we're conditioned. Like, as a woman, me personally, like, I grew up in a very good household. Yeah. My dad worked 14 years to become a doctor, moved all the way from Nigeria to Britain to support his family. My mum's a midwife. she still works to this day, even though she doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to, she didn't have to. She always said to me, always make sure you got your own thing going on. Never just rely on a man, because at the end of the day, if something happens, then you're going to be left with no qualifications, nothing as a back plan, no home, no nothing. And if he's a nice person, he'll probably help you out. But if he's not, and it doesn't end that way, then you need to basically restart your life. So I think it's absolutely fine to let a man lead and be the provider. But I do think as women, it's very naive to think that you should just be having kids and doing nothing, because you never know what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? That's what I believe.
What does happen? Let's delve into why relationships break down. Expectations, lack of communication. I don't think a lot of people are actually mentally prepared for the idea of what they're signing up for. Because I believe marriage is, the way people talk about marriage like it's the worst frigging thing in the world. You've maybe seen or had your own bad examples, but I think it's a beautiful thing. I think there's a reason why so many religions push marriage. Yeah, sometimes for money, whatever, or purposes. But I think the general thing is you can't just give up so easy. And that's what it is. The way we are now, we can go online and find a new bird or a new fella like that. You can just scroll.
It's not normal. But marriage is a unity. And I think what's happening now is that people want this idea that they want to have a marriage, but they don't know what it takes to be in one, because there isn't many relationship counselors, but there's a lot of marriage counselors. It's obviously going to be hard. So it is easy,
You've got to think, where does marriage come from? Marriage comes from religion.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you're not religious, you don't follow religion, don't get fucking married. Because there's no glue, there's nothing that you both... There's not a body that you've made a promise in front of that you both respect on such a high level that you are willing to make it work.
Yeah.
That's the glue that holds it together.
Yeah.
My brother got married last week, okay? And we're in the mosque, and the imam said, the hard part isn't getting married, it's staying married.
Yeah.
And if anything, I felt like he was trying to talk him out of it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, he was...
It's not too late.
He was outlining the things that he's going to face as a man, the responsibilities he has, the rights he has, the rights his missus has over him. Because I think a lot of the time within Muslim or Asian culture, it's like, yeah, it's the man's rights. That's what fucking counts. But the women have their rights as well.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the part that's missed sometimes.
Yeah.
When you talk about toxic masculinity, okay, it's like, fuck the women, it's us. Okay?
Yeah.
That it's not the case. It's not the case. Your missus pissed off with you, or she's got something up with her, she's gonna ruin your fucking day. Your week.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly,
it's a very true thing. It is.
So you need to facilitate that. Because if she's vexed because, I don't know, there isn't enough money or you're not trying hard. Like the amount of people I've spoke to, like even women I've spoke to, and they're speaking about the partner to me in the DMs and stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, he just sits on his arse and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. I want him to do your program, this, that, the other. It's shocking. And there's women out there frustrated because that fella is not doing what the fuck he was meant to be doing.
I think if you ask any woman ever, she's gone through that in any way, shape or form.
You reckon?
Yeah, 3,000%. And I'm not saying it's never generalization, because some people have been together since they were in school. Do you know what I mean? And have a lovely relationship and they've never had these problems. Good for them. Do you know what I mean? Good for them. But I do think the truth is he's only going to do it if he wants to do it for you. And I feel like there is a thin line between ordering someone to do things or requiring someone to do them to make your relationship easier. But I think that's what it is. People enter relationships with this willy-nilly idea that it's always going to be a honeymoon phase and stuff.
It's work.
It is. And at the end of the day, see, I used to be very against open relationships, right? I used to be very against them. I used to think they're weird. Like, I used to be like, wow. But now I'm like, okay, well, you've got two people who openly admit that they don't want to be monogamous, but they have a stronger relationship and stronger unity and communication skills than the people who are cheating on each other constantly behind the backs or having affairs. So why should we even look at them and say, oh, like I judge them? Like, again, I'm not into promiscuity. I don't think it's a good thing. But at least those two are open with each other. These two aren't. Do you get what I'm saying?
See, the guy in that relationship, like, I'd have problems with him.
What do you mean?
That ain't happening. That can't run.
Is that because you can't imagine, like, your own missus? Like,
no, it can't run. That can't run. No.
I've seen it work. I've seen it work. Not me personally. Like, I can't do that shit.
Does he wear trousers or a skirt?
No, but you've got to understand. I think it's just an element of, I don't want to be monogamous, so I've got to give her the same, rights as I do. Because what? If a guy come up to me and said,
would you even class it as a relationship though? Like, it's a weird one, because I think for me, when when a man is with a woman, that's like the whole thing is built on that you're together. You know what I mean? In every single way, shape or form, whether sexually, financially, you're living your life together. Yeah. For me, my brain cannot fucking compute another guy looking at my woman like that. It's alien.
I think that they're obviously
you're
very
a bitch
secure.
If you think like you're a bitch.
I don't agree. I think you're just a very secure person. You're a realist. You are a realist. That's what you must be. Because at the end of the day, people probably in relationships, a lot of them are in sexist relationships. They know it gets boring. They know it gets mundane. They're a realist. They know they're looking for something else. Again, I would never enter in one myself, but I understand it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I seriously don't.
The way your eyes widen then.
I don't get it. Because like, bro, like you're some cock or I don't fucking know what you know what I mean? That's mad.
He's not watching. Who said he's watching?
I don't know. If you're in an open relationship.
Do you know what? Have you seen that new? I watch a bit of Netflix when I can. There's a new thing called Ashley Madison. Did you see that?
I don't watch TV like that. But
well, Ashley Madison was a website designed for married people to have an affair. And they genuinely, the campaigns that they ran, they went for years, right? They have 50 million users.
Wow.
Yeah, 50 million users from all different backgrounds.
Who's
all over
allowing this shit to happen?
They allowed it. We were putting, we were putting posters up in 2013 for this app, this website. Yeah. With Boris Johnson's face on. Yeah, we were, exactly. And that's why this world is just tapped. This was from 2013. It closed in like 2016.
So
all the data got leaked.
Just with that piece of information there, it seems like it's been orchestrated that the family dynamic
needs to be.
It had been changed. Had been changed completely. Talking about Boris Johnson, how many kids has he got?
I don't know.
No one knows, but it's a lot.
He's got like 8 or something.
It's a lot. It's not with the same
Ladies,
woman.
I don't mean to be nasty, but like, why? Why him? Like, again,
power. Power.
Look at him.
Listen, power, clout.
I'm sorry, I couldn't. I don't care how much power and clout you've got. He looks like a mop.
Yeah. Yeah,
sorry.
It is a power thing, isn't it?
Nasty.
Some women are attracted to power, some money, some looks. But I think a lot of the time women will overlook looks for power, for security.
So what do you think then? Because obviously we're in the same industry. I think now, I love seeing, there's women in this industry now in fitness who are doing numbers. Yeah. Very successful, running big businesses. They do whatever they do online or they do it with the clients and they're just smashing it. But I think there has been this trend, and I will say, when I first stepped into this industry, I thought I needed to be an influencer, and it was very much show your body off. People want to be in shape like you. Like if you pose a certain way, you'll look a certain way. I don't really do that content no more. Got no problem posting what I want to post, but my content's very much forward facing. So what's your opinion on, maybe this more sexualization then of women in the fitness industry and how they portray themselves online?
Well, you've got to remember that social media has replaced TV. Okay?
Entertainment.
Now, when we were watching TV, shit was sexualized then.
Yeah, even Disney cartoons.
Sex sells, okay? Now, you got to look at who's in charge, who's allowing this. In China, do you know what I mean? They control everything, they censor everything. Russia, I'm assuming, is the same, okay? That shit works. They're on the rise, whereas the West is in a decline, down to a lack of morality. And that has been propagated by the government, what people see, what people listen to, all the rest of that, what you said, okay? But who's allowed it? Because it's the governments of those countries. They don't value those beliefs, those morals anymore. And I also believe it's used as a control mechanism where me and you fighting, men and women are fighting between themselves to be the dominant force. And these guys are doing whatever they're doing, whatever agenda they've got on the cards at the time, whether it's invading another country or, you know, taking a pipeline, whatever it might fucking be. It's a distraction. But at the same time now, you mentioned something when we last spoke that more women are becoming celibate. Okay? Through choice, okay? Now, I've always said, over the last couple of years, I've always said there is going to be a switch where people think, hold on, this doesn't work. It's fun for the time being, but this doesn't work. You get women in the 40s, more and more women in the 30s, 40s, without families, dying, going into care homes alone. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. And it's at that point, people being like, I don't want to be like that. Maybe I shouldn't, you know, do the things that they did. Maybe I should, you know, really look for someone decent. Maybe I should develop myself to be somebody that somebody wants to marry.
Or portray myself differently online.
Yeah. Going back to your point about the fitness industry being sexualized, it is. You know, people aspire to be good looking, to be sexy, okay? And these people who are really good looking, who are flaunting it, they're going to attract those sorts of people. They're preying on their insecurities. And that's cool. Listen, you can't change the rules of the game. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the avenue that I've seen yourself go down, obviously you're more lifestyle, you're more about, you know, healthy relationships with food, a different approach.
Yeah.
You will not be as successful as those other women who are taking booty pics.
I know.
You know?
I admitted that.
Yeah.
I think it's not even that. It's just different types of success. That's what I think it is. You know, I ain't going to be on your billboards. I ain't going to be, you know, doing the workout in the living room with you with the band around my legs. I'm not. I started that way, but I know it's not me. And to be honest, I don't want someone to just look at me and just think, oh yeah, she's in shape here. She's muscular, she's got a big arse or something. And that's all they remember about me. Do you know what I mean? And it was a hard transition though, because you feel like you have to, because think about the gratification when you're trying to build a business, yeah? And you'll do it naturally. You post one thing, gets a lot of traction. You're naturally going to be more inclined to then want to post more of that.
It's a reward,
because it's response. Yeah. And again, it makes sense, the algorithm. So and it happens to this day, if I post a picture of myself on a night out, my engagement goes, right? But if I post something informative that's going to help someone, it will never go anywhere as close to that. Do you know what I mean? So I think what's happening is that when women are stepping into this industry, they're doing this process like, oh, I've posted this tip, not really getting the response. But the minute that they maybe portray themselves a little bit more sexualized to somebody else is the minute it comes all of that followers and gain. Now, again, one thing I will debate though, when you build muscle, I don't think you look at your body from a sexual standpoint anymore. Does that make sense? You look at yourself like work. So like if I look at a guy in the gym, because I know that, okay, muscle takes time to build and he's very developed in one area, I'm going to look at it, but I'm not going to sexualize it. Does that make sense? Yeah. The same way if I had absolutely insane shoulders, you're going to notice that because you're into fitness.
Yeah, check your fucking delts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think when women sometimes do post it, I don't think it's sometimes that always the intent, like to be sexualized. Do you know what I mean? They've just built a shitload of muscle and look freaking great. Do you know what I mean? And we can look at them differently. But to the outsider, you know, I always say, if you're going to post something online and you get some creeps and you know it's a little bit revealing, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I've accepted that. Like if I post something and I'm in a dress or whatever, I will get a creep.
For sure.
It's just the way it is.
If you're putting things out there, especially as a coach, you need attention, you need eyeballs for your business to flourish, okay?
Yeah.
So all the attention you get, whether it's positive, negative, you know, I'm sure you got guys messaging you wild shit. Do you know what I mean? I've seen some of your stories. Yeah. Mad.
Got a nice one the other day, though. I got a nice one the other day.
Yeah. But I lost my train of thought.
Well, while you gained it, I basically had someone write me a poem. That was nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you think that's Alpha? He wrote me a poem.
In the hopes of what? Like,
he wrote me a poem and then he wrote me a letter, and then he messaged 8 people on Instagram to send me the poem and letter directly. He did not message me himself. He got 8 of my Instagram friends. Yeah,
probably not the approach I'd take, but
no, it was a bit mad.
How does that make you feel?
It's a nice compliment, but no. Why are you laughing?
Yeah. If you're watching, buddy, keep trying. Keep trying. Try a different route. But yeah, in regards to what I was saying before, I think, especially with like the rise of OnlyFans and shit like that, I believe like there's a lot of women who'll try coaching. I've seen it myself. I'll go to a gym where there's a lot of OnlyFans girls, yeah, and guys as well. Okay, they'll try the coaching thing. It's the same pattern. They try the coaching thing, think, yeah, I'm going to stand there looking phenomenal. And the coaching doesn't take, there has to be both sides as well. You have to know what the fuck you're on about. You have to be able to deliver results, okay? So it's not, you can't just look great and expect to, do well for a very long time and have, be in the industry for a long time. But what I've seen happening is you have these gym girls and these gym guys posting these pictures, not really get anywhere, and then they make the switch. And I think, as a guy, if you're doing that, you have failed. Yeah, because all you got is your body, okay? And if as a girl you failed even worse, because that is all you've got to offer the world. If you're going on to that, do you know what I mean? Because that's you thought that was going to work in the fitness industry, yeah, it didn't, and then you make the switch. I do believe it's a gateway, and it's a very common thing I'm seeing myself.
Yeah. I think the thing is, OnlyFans is a priable situation to those who are financially vulnerable. That's what I think it is. Because you know what, right? I've seen people do numbers on that app. Do you ever see that interview with Dr. Phil? She's like, cash me outside, how about it?
Yeah,
remember her?
What's her name?
Baddie Barbie, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
You know how much she made in a year?
I can imagine. Please
guess. You won't get it. It'll more money than we'll probably ever see in a couple lifetimes.
20 million, 200 million.
48 mil.
Wow. Okay.
1 year. Only just turned 18. Do you know how sketchy that is? Do you know what I mean? I know what you mean. I think personally, those apps are quick fixes. And once you do that, you're never going to be able to do anything else to the degree that you want to. Because if you can make a quick buck off posting yourself as a man or a woman online and sexualizing yourself for other people to subscribe to, when are you ever going to get you're not going to get a normal job. Do you know what I mean? And I can see a similarity in different ways. It must have been hard for you to, when you were in your past situation, you seen money quickly, but then when you looked at the real world, money ain't that quick. It's a little bit different. It can be approached in different ways.
Disagree.
Do you think?
Yeah. I've been coaching, not even 2 years?
But I mean, let's say for you not being a coach, let's say you went back to a 9 to 5, you're not going to be able to...
I've never had a 9 to 5 and I will never have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, we're on the same.
I can't, I'm not asking someone if I can go on holiday. I can't go on holiday right now anyway because I'm on license. But, I'm not raising my hand to go to the toilet. I'm not letting you know I'm going to the toilet. Fuck you.
But that's what I'm saying. It's when you've seen quick money, OnlyFans, or maybe you've dealt drugs, or maybe you've done whatever, and then you try and go to something that's normal or something that is just not actually exposing yourself.
You've been exposed. Yeah. You can't be unexposed, You can't unsee something or unfeel something. You've experienced that, okay? The dangerous thing is with these people, even business owners, it can happen with them. It's like, when I hit this, I'll be happy. When I cop this, I'll be happy, okay? You're never going to find happiness that way. And I've suffered from this myself. It's like, okay, when I hit this number, I'll get this many clients or whatever it might be, I'll be happy. It's not the case.
Doesn't work.
Where you find happiness is by looking backwards, okay? How far have you come? Now, 2.5 years ago, I was in a cell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
3 years ago, it was COVID. I wasn't getting out my cell. Do you get it? So I think when I look back, I think, yeah, you done bits you have.
Yeah.
For real. Do you know what I mean?
Yourself up a little bit.
Yeah. And for them and the vessel and the struggle and the hardships I've been through to get here is what makes it rewarding. And I think, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
When your hardship is twerking and doing madness in front of a webcam, you're gonna feel empty. It's an empty victory.
Yeah.
Because and also in regards to the whole relationship with money, I said this at Lucid Talk, like, you're going to die. It stays here. Everything you own, everything that you think is yours or you got a sense of ownership over stays fucking here.
Yeah.
Okay? What you do along the way and how you accumulate that and the amount of people that you affect, you can be in your deathbed knowing, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody was better off because they spoke to me or they worked with me or whatever it might, I was in contact with these people. The guys that these girls are in contact with, they're not benefited. They lost money. They're probably in that incel community shit. Do you know what I mean? They probably got a warped view on women.
I'll be honest, if I knew that a guy was subscribing to someone's OnlyFans,
it's mad.
I'd just be like, nah, you're a simp. Don't like you. But like, that's what I'd be thinking. I'd be thinking, because I could never imagine paying to watch someone over. Like, that's just not what I'd do. Do you know what I mean? I think the thing is as well, I remember seeing
But you understand open relationships? I
understand open relationships, yeah. Because that between two partners is what I mean, right? Because at the end of the day, right, if you openly said, if I went on a date with someone, let's imagine this, right? And they said, I have no interest in being monogamous, right? It's nothing to do with the person. It's nothing to do with that. It's just me personally, I can't lie to myself. But me and him had a very strong connection. I'm just saying this figuratively. I wouldn't do it because I just couldn't.
Would you even get to that point though, with, you know, you being you? You wouldn't get to that point.
No, I wouldn't. But remember,
to have this conversation with somebody like that.
A lot of relationships don't start open, become open. A lot of marriages become open because what they're finding is that both of them aren't satisfied in themselves and it's like sort of peeling into the relationship and they're bored. And that's what it will be. You know, it's very common. You can see all of those like things where you'll have people like couples who go swinging and stuff. That's been around for years. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But at least both of them are in on it. Like both of them understand it. Like they have agreed upon themselves. It's worse to go out and cheat and have an affair and lie to your partner, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You bring them both in. I don't know. But as for the OnlyFans stuff, if someone was doing all that, I wouldn't get it. No. Like if you were paying someone to watch pictures of them, I wouldn't get it.
And then the other way around as well, you'll have these guys who have the girls on OnlyFans and they go on like they're winning. Bruv. How much is the OnlyFans? Does anyone know?
It depends. You can set your subscription, can't
I don't fucking know. It's a few it's a few quid. But I get access to nah.
Do you know what as well? I think I did see one thing and it was like this debate. If you ever want to dive in on TikTok, it's one of them places you can find a good old debate, right? And it was this woman basically saying, and she was just talking, she was like, sexualizing yourself to men is not empowering for you. That's not feminism. Putting yourself online and telling people, look at my body, pay me, isn't you winning because you're getting money off men. It's not anything to do with that. You're still buying into the narrative and making your life about that. Do you know what I mean? If you were really wanting to empower yourself, you'd do something that required men not at all. Does that make sense?
That's all you got to offer at that point.
It's hard. And I think, you know what? A lot of girls will be naive to that. It is environment. It can be how you've been growing up. Do you know what I mean?
But then you get some women who are just wicked in nature. That's how they are. They do not give a fuck. Do you get me? They're all women out there. And there's guys out there like that as well. They do not give a fuck.
If you're going to be openly wicked, just be openly wicked. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a very thing person. Like, I try not to judge people. It is hard to not judge. Yeah. We're based around judgments. Our beliefs are based around judgments. I think it's absolutely fine
to judge someone. I think because then I know how to treat you.
And I give people benefit.
What's that, sorry?
I give people benefit of the doubt.
Where does it end? Do you know what I mean? I make this point again and again. Like if it's someone who's got done for like child abuse or something like that, what do?
Oh no, when we're talking about something like that.
No, but what I'm saying is, where does it end? There has to be a line, okay? Everyone's different. There has to be standards. And where your standards are is obviously individual to the person. So I do believe in judgment. I think it's absolutely normal. I know how to treat you through my judgment.
Do you think that's embedded from your religion as well? Because I think personally, in my experience. I'm not religious, and I think honestly there's so many debates about religion, but the truth is it's there to give hope, faith and community. That's what I think religion is, a way of living your life. It's a guide, right? That's what most of it is, right? But I think that religion does teach people to judge what's right or wrong. So if you see things that are sinful in somebody else, you are going to have
it provides you with a moral compass and North Star. Because if it's left to humans to kind of decide, then there's a lot of grey areas. There's wrong and there's right, you know? It's as simple as that. And if any Abrahamic religion, I don't really know about Hinduism, whatever, yeah, but obviously was executed to the T, even more so Islam was executed to the T, and it was allowed to be executed to the T, a lot of the problems, the majority of the problems that we face in the world would be eradicated. And obviously Islam's had a bad time with, how it's been portrayed. But then you look at people who go over to the Middle East and, Dubai's on the rise and Saudi and all, they're like, it's fucking next level. It's amazing, What's happened? So it just shows that the narrative being pushed is always going to be to suit the people pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I honestly do believe with Islam or even Christianity and Judaism, I can, with those sorts of people who are of those faiths, I still have some sort of kinship.
Yeah.
I still do, Whereas somebody who's an atheist or, an agnostic or whatever, like I have this conversation with one of the guys I work with. So he's not a Muslim, okay? He'll come to the mosque on Eid, he'll fast. Yeah, check this. And I say, bruv, do you think there's a God or not? I don't know. What the fuck are you doing this shit for then?
But I can relate to that.
Why?
Because I don't have a clue. If you ask me about my religious standpoint, I can't tell you an answer. I can't tell you if there is or there isn't. I can't tell you which religion is this. I can't. I understand.
That's why you call it belief.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I haven't had the privilege to experience life through religion in that way. I grew up in a Catholic school, but we were all Catholic. We all just went to the mass on a Sunday, sang our little songy song, had our bread, had our Vimto, that was wine, and then we went home. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They give you the wine. You have seen that? Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't. They give you basically like rice paper, and then you drink from the chalice, which is wine, but it's actually like Vimto.
Yeah, because I went to Church of England primary school. I always used to think, them things. I thought, yeah, they're like big Milky Bar buttons.
No, they taste like.
That's what they look like.
They taste like shit. Like imagine just licking a piece of paper. That's what they taste like. But yeah, I think my family, Christian on my dad's side, my granddad's Protestant, my mum is Catholic, and we grew up Catholic, but my granddad's Protestant. Yeah. So we've got that much of a mix up. I used to go to church when I was a kid and stuff, but the truth is that growing up, I was just trying to find my identity, like who I am. I was the only mixed race person in an all white school. I was not going to add religion into the fire of that, do you know what I mean, at that time. So when I grew up, I can't really tell you. I just think it's a beautiful thing, but I'm not there myself, and I'm going to have to go through my own experience.
What's stopping you from... You say you're not there yourself. What's stopping you from being there? Do you think it would benefit your life?
I think in myself, if I was maybe... If I didn't have moral compass and I suffered with my own purposes, I think I probably would have turned to religion a bit sooner. Do you get what I mean? But I'm okay. So I've never felt the need to get something more or do something more. I'm not a spiritual person. I just love experiencing different cultures and respecting them. I love I think Ramadan is the most beautiful thing ever. Like seeing how my clients transform their mindsets from start of Ramadan to finish of Ramadan, and how, they put themselves through these processes with the family. It's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? I was in Bali for a month. I've never seen such nice people, the things that they do, the respect that they hold. We don't have that in Western culture. Do you know what I mean? But me personally, I've just never been able to find one, and I'm not closed off to it. If that ever happened, I'd be there. But what I'm not going to do is force myself into something that I don't feel like I actually need right now. That makes sense?
Got you.
That's all. And I think I've just not had one zone. That's the problem.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Because going back to my mate, like I say, you do all this sort of stuff. I go, so why do you do this? You know, why do you come to the mosque, and why do you fast, and why do you do all these sorts of things? He goes, because his granddad was he's Turkish. His granddad was Muslim. He goes, reminds me when I was with my granddad. But for me, it's like, it's just a cop out. It's like is it agnostic where you're not sure? Is that what it is?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Like, you're sitting on anyone who sits on the fence, for me, on anything, like, I can't deal with. So I'm like, you know, there has to be a wrong, there has to be a right. You know?
But I suppose because religion it's, and this is the thing, what I experienced when I grew up with Christianity, there's loopholes in that. I'll be honest, there's loopholes in what my family would do and how they would practice their religion. So I grew up seeing the negative side. So the reason that I don't have an opinion is because I don't want to disrespect anybody. Like, I think it's beautiful that you choose to live your life like the way you want to live it. But me personally, I'm just not you. Do you know what I mean? I get what you mean about fence sitters. I think your mate just wants some iftar. That's why he's doing it.
No, because he lives on his own.
Yeah, he just wants to get invited around the houses to eat. That's what he's doing.
Possibly.
That food is great. But I think one thing I did want to ask you anyway is, I know on your coaching, it's very clear you message who you work with, and I love your content. I think it's just straight to the point. What is it then to be an alpha man or alpha male? What would you say that is personally then?
For me, to be able to face difficult situations and circumstances with true stoicism, without moaning, without complaining, because at the end of the day, every single society on the planet rests on the shoulders of those men. If those sorts of men did not exist, society would fold as we know it.
Yep.
And portraying yourself and being that individual, that's alpha. Not everyone's going to be that, especially this day and age. But I'm trying to bring through as many people as possible through fitness, through the way I coach mindset, through putting them through situations, overcoming things that they believe to be true, these limiting beliefs. And when you see someone come out the other side and the vocab's changed, the way they talk about themselves changed, the way that they have these life-altering moments and they are just focused, I think, yeah, I've done a good job here. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the guys that I work with just need that guidance. They need that straight talk, you know, that direct talk. Tell them, listen, you either do or you don't. There's no try, you know. It's like Yoda says, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no in between. So what's it going to be? You doing this is going to be painful, but what's the other option? It's just as painful. It's just as hard. So which one is it going to be?
You pick your hard. You pick your hard. You pick which one you want. Yeah. And you know what? The funny thing is the one thing that I think we both can relate to is that we both get that buzz for changing somebody, just how they think and their mentality. Do you know what I mean? My approach is just a bit different. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's sometimes these women have tried guilt, shame for so long that they actually need someone to be able to go, hey, like, maybe not do that anymore. Like, let's move towards a different narrative or change that. And I'm guessing your clients have used the hide, pretend, and then they need someone to bring it to the surface. So it's just what someone needs at the time, you know? I like that.
For sure. And I think when you talk about hiding, it can be done, we spoke about drugs and drinking, all that. It can be done like, you know, buying things or saying, I'm too busy with my career, or it can be, you know what needs to be addressed. You know exactly where you're fucking lacking. And they'll put it off, like I said, right to the end, till the missus are left. And the amount of guys I've had after a breakup, I'm like, so this is what it took, yeah?
That's universal, though. I get all the, gone through heartbreak, right? Let's sort it out. Yeah. Comfortability, innit?
But, and then off the back of that, who they turn into is like, their standards are so much higher. Because a lot of the time, they've let their standards slip, and then what they accept from their partner, the way that they're spoken to or whatever, and what they accept in a partner, that changes. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're on the right track now.
Yeah. No, I get that. So where can we find you then? On Instagram or
It's
what are you doing?
i.g.basealpha. And yourself?
It's Mentored by Maya. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the same. It's quite easy. Not Maya, it's Maya. But everyone does get that wrong. Yeah. Thank you.
And
Thanks
you.
for hopping on.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah.